Hello, welcome to my talk. My name is Joseph Mbele. I have this YouTube channel, and I invite you to stop by and hear what I have to say. I post videos from time to time on culture, education, globalization, writing, things like that. I enjoy doing this. I appreciate it when people comment on what I say, and so we keep the conversation alive. My name is Joseph Mbele. I am a Tanzanian. I teach here at St. Olaf College in Northfield, Minnesota. I've been here in the English department since 1991. I taught at the University of Dar es Salaam in my country, Tanzania, from 1976. So I've been in the field close to 50 years. I'm planning to retire next year, 2026. It will be 50 years. 50 is a good number, and so psychologically I'm prepared to step down from former teaching. I believe I'll continue to be teaching in other ways, as a consultant, as an advisor, as a writer, and public speaker. I'll be doing those things. Today, I would like to raise an issue that has been on my mind for quite a long time. I would say a few years. This is how culture, or how our culture conditions us to be unaware, actually, of what we are doing, and how it gives us the false belief that our culture is not only normal, but that it is the norm. And in my presentations, in the last few years at least, I've been highlighting this point about how culture works on us. We grow up in our culture, we pick up the cultural practices, the behaviors, ways of doing things, and we are basically unconscious about all that we are doing. It comes naturally. So, for example, from childhood, we are told to be grateful. If somebody gives you something, you say thank you. You pick this up, and it's just part of life. You don't even think about it. In American culture, you are taught to be punctual. Things like punctuality are enforced. And so if there's a meeting, if there's an appointment, you arrive on time. You keep your appointment. If you go somewhere for some service and you find some people who came before you, you stand in line. Yeah, if there's people who came before you, they have to be served first. And so the person who comes after you stands behind you. You follow the line. And there's a principle: first come, first served. In a culture like the American culture, this is normal. Absolutely. People will be very offended if you skipped the line, marched, all the way to the front. People won't take this kindly. It's against the culture. It's very rude. It's very disrespectful. It's a serious violation of the cultural norms. But the thing is, it sounds like the natural thing to do. It sounds like the right thing to do. And it is right in the American culture. In some cultures, I would say, maybe Western cultures. But in other cultures, things don't work that way. The principle of first come, first served, for example, doesn't make sense. It doesn't work. So if you come from a culture like the American one, and you find yourself in those cultures where things work differently, you'll be offended, you'll be irritated, you'll be frustrated all the time. You came first to an office, and then somebody who comes after you might get served before you are served. Doesn't make sense to you. But to the people of that culture, there are other rules. They have a different value system. For example, in African cultures, the primary consideration is relationships. Yes, you came first, but then the person who comes after you may be somebody who is very important in that place, somebody who is very connected, with the people that are serving you. Maybe it's somebody's mother-in-law. And in my writings, I explained these kinds of things. So don't be shocked if you see people serve the people who know them, of the people they know, their friends, their neighbors, people who interact with them, daily. They get priority. In a relationship-based culture, that's how things work. It's who knows who. And so you spend your time in that culture investing in relationships. It's not a matter of just, the rules are here and you expect they'll be followed. No, the rules are there. But things work in favor of those who have spent the time creating and sustaining relationships. Hospitality and friendliness and being there in the various social functions, helping people. That's how you invest in these communities. And in my books, I write about such things. And so people spend a lot of time talking with each other, visiting each other, hanging out with each other. And it's not a waste of time. They are not wasting time. If you read my books, you'll get this point very clearly. So I've seen Americans go to Africa, to establish business relationships. My favorite example is Americans coming to my country, Tanzania, and meeting members of the Chamber of Commerce, the American Chamber of Commerce in Tanzania. And the Americans come and they express the wish, that such and such changes should be made in the business environment so that things like deadlines should be kept, events, activities should be predictable, schedules, should be kept. The principles of, first come, first served should be followed. Americans come with these notions And I've written about this in my book titled Chickens in the Bus. And I've tried to point out the problem of expecting, another culture to go according to the principles of your culture. I give some examples, and the point I want to make today is that it's unfortunate that our cultures, condition us so seriously, so deeply. We go around the world, not being aware that our cultural norms might not be universal. And they are right, from our perspective. They make sense, not only they make sense, but they are, always right. They are the appropriate way to do things. But when we go to another culture, we realize they have a different system. And that makes it difficult for people to even realize, the reason I am so involved in making presentations. If I were to speak somewhere, about culture and globalization, it sounds so abstract until perhaps somebody gets into another culture and encounters the strange things that I've been, mentioning here. So how do we wake people up to the realization that they really need to go outside their comfort zone, that there is a different world out there, so that they can go with an open mind and not be judgmental and not try to impose their ways on other people's lives. It works both ways. Say, when Africans come to the USA and they see how Americans do things, the Africans end up with a lot of questions, frustrations, confusion, maybe irritation, again, because they come with the notion that the way we do things in Africa is the right way, and that the Americans don't have the proper understanding of what's right. And this is the kind of danger we have in the world. People of one culture believing that their ways are the right ways, and then, they judge, they condemn, they criticize, other cultures. I don't know how to put this, but it's really the fundamental concern I have, in my work as a cultural consultant, to try and get people to cross that line, to break that barrier, so they can see things, from the perspective of the other culture. And so I have a talk that I gave twice here at St. Olaf College, titled, "My Culture is Weird, and so is yours," as a way of highlighting the issue that I'm trying to address today, that we have all these blinders, cultural blinders, which make us unable, or which make us fail to see, reality from the perspective of, a different culture. So I seek to foster this awareness. If you read my books, you get a sense of what I have in mind, what I'm trying to say. It's complicated, but I hope I've at least, highlighted the dilemma or the problem, maybe not in a very articulate way, but there is something there for you to think about. I'll come back to this topic. It's the kind of topic I've been addressing again and again. I'll stop here for today. If you listen to my other videos, if you watch my other videos, you will see how I'm grappling with this complicated issue. And yet we have to address it. We have to find ways to navigate these challenges. It will make our lives easier. It will promote mutual understanding. And I don't think, we can avoid confronting these issues. I'll stop here, and I wish you all the best. Comment on what I've said. Raise questions. Let's keep the conversation going. Have a nice day.